Good morning. Welcome to Randy's Corner, and I'm your host, Randy Clark. I got one announcement this morning, then I got a real special guest we're going to want to talk to. So y'all stay tuned in because it's very important information what she's going to put out. Okay, don't forget, February the 13th is the annual Arts Council dinner at the Sylacauga Rec Center, and they still have tickets left. The music is from the Top Tier Band. If you have never heard of them, you need to come to the Arts Council dinner. Tickets are only $25. You can see any Arts Council member, Chamber of Commerce, Broadway Spinal Care. There's plenty of places to get tickets around town. So without further ado, my special guest this morning is Miss Kathleen Cox, and she is the dietitian at Coosa Valley Medical Center. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming in. This month is Fitness and Health, Eating Healthy Month, and I couldn't think of a better person to get in here and talk about it than you. Tell us a little bit about Miss Kathleen Cox.
Well, I'm a registered dietitian, and I've been one for almost 40 years now.
Goodness. You've been in it a while.
I've done it a while. I've seen a lot of changes, a lot of positive changes in the profession, and I've done a lot of different things, worked with a lot of different patients, so I have a little bit of experience in a lot of different areas. So
okay.
It's great to be able to share that with the community.
Well, great. So, what made you get interested in being a dietitian?
Sure. I took an undergrad class at Florida State, an elective nutrition class, and it was just, I found it really fascinating. I loved the relationship of food and how it relates to not only how our body functions, but further on into my major, as when I decided to study nutrition, how it relates to disease processes and how what we eat can not only make us healthy and enhance our health, but also how it is a huge factor in disease states and why people get sick.
Okay, could you touch on just a minute the responsibilities of a dietitian, say at the hospital?
Sure. As a clinical dietitian, and there are many, many different types of dietitians, but with Coosa Valley Medical Center, I function as a clinical dietitian. And my part is part of a team approach to making sure that the patient, when they come to us, that I assess their nutrition needs, what they need for that moment in time. In other words, what's going on with them, how are they well, are they ill, or what type of disease process is going on, and how can I assess what they need and prescribe appropriate nutrition for them to have the best possible outcome while they're with us. Okay. In relation to everything else that the team is doing. If a patient comes to us and say they need physical therapy, if they're not nourished and they don't get what they need from their diet, they're not going to be able to respond to that therapy. So I see my role as part of the larger team, and I'm really fortunate to work with a really dedicated group of folks over there that really just work together for the best possible outcome for the patient.
Okay, great. Now, as a dietitian, what can you tell a person about eating healthy? That's a wide question, isn't it?
It is, and there's so much, but there's a really great place to start. And when someone asks me that question out in the community or whatever, the place that I really like to start is fruits and vegetables, because I feel like that is accessible for a lot of people. And what I recommend is getting 5 servings a day of fruits and vegetables. And it sounds easy, but you really have to plan. You really got to make sure that, you say, instead of reaching for that cookie, I could have an apple, or I could have a bunch of carrots, or I could have a salad with my meal instead of fries or something like that. It's not, I think people tend to overcomplicate nutrition, and it doesn't have to be that way. It's really about just getting back to basics. Okay. And understanding that there are a lot of choices out there, but many choices are healthier options than things we're used to reaching for. And it's just really about changing your mindset and doing things differently.
Okay.
So 5 fruits and vegetables a day, And the other thing, another thing that I feel like is really important is looking at the beverages that you drink on a daily basis.
Oh, goodness.
I love to eat, I love food. I want to eat my calories, I don't want to drink them. So I really recommend, everybody that we all look at the beverages that we're choosing and try to make as many of those calorie-free, preferably water. It's accessible, it's everywhere, and just really try to, little by little, decrease the amount of sugar that you may be consuming just through beverages. I think that's a big thing too.
Right. Speaking of drinking water, in doing my research for the shows this month, I found out a lot of people only drink water, and I really had never thought of that, but it's really healthy.
It is.
I drink, it's hard not to drink these sugared drinks. Sweet tea, I'm the world's worst. I love my sweet tea, but it's always not so good for you, right?
It can, depending on how you make it, it can have a lot of sugar, and it can, over the course of the day, really add up as far as calories go. Do you like anything that's like sweetened with NutraSweet or Sweet and Low? Have you tried any of the lower calorie or sugar-free sweeteners? That could be a good place to start for a lot of people. And I understand that that's a big thing in this part of the country, but it's all about, what I recommend for a lot of people is just maybe out of those 3 or 4 sweet teas a day, start with 1 water. Do that for a couple days, then you're comfortable with that. That becomes a part of what you do. Then increase it and gradually make the changes so they become habit. And you're not really missing out. You can still have your sweet tea, just have less of it to the point where maybe one day someone gets to, I'm just gonna have water today, and that's fine. But just thinking about what we do, just actively thinking about making better choices is kind of where it all starts.
Right. This right here isn't in my notes, but I'm sure that you're qualified to tell me about this. Our New Year's resolutions. We all make them, right? But could you explain how important it is to start out with small resolutions instead of starting a big one and then you get disgusted and you just throw it out the window?
Absolutely. That's one of the things that I really talk to patients about, and I really stress, like we just talked about, is identifying maybe one thing that you want to change and taking baby steps. Because if you go all out and have a host or a list of, like you said, resolutions, things that you want to accomplish, and it's really overreaching, you're really just setting yourself up for failure, because you're not going to, as soon as one thing doesn't happen, then you're, didn't do that, so I don't have to do that, and that's not going to work. Whereas if you just focus on one thing, let's just say the water, which is honestly a lot of the time where I start with patients, is just small steps. Substitute 1 beverage with water a day, and get comfortable with that. Make that part of your everyday routine and who you are, so that when that becomes comfortable, you take on something else, and these things become habit and not something that's so foreign. And it's the same thing with diet. It may be you go for a burger and fries, but maybe there's a salad available on the menu. Have your burger, but maybe choose a salad instead. That's a great place to start.
Okay.
Or, maybe going to the grocery store and not go, reaching for your favorite snack foods, but saying, maybe I'll think of something different, getting fruits and vegetables, going, around the walls first instead of the aisles. Just picking one thing, making that a part of every day. And then when you're comfortable with that, say, I did that. I got this. Now I'm going to do something else.
You brought up a great point, going to the grocery store. Go through the fruits and vegetables first. Right.
Absolutely. That's called shopping the walls.
Right.
So I tell, one of the things that I talk about with patients is shopping the walls. Think about what's on the perimeter of your grocery store. And if you think about it, it's all refrigerated, right? It's produce, then it's meat, then it's dairy. That's a great place to start. Those are the things that are the healthiest. And then you can go, up and down the aisles for like your staple things and your dry things. But the aisles is where we get in trouble because that's where the snacks and the cakes and the cookies and, all those things are, which, are choices that people make every day, but not maybe the healthier choices. Okay. So, shopping the walls first, loading up on the fruits and the vegetables and the lean meats and the low-fat dairy, and then coming back and, maybe filling in a little gaps there.
Okay. As a dietitian at the hospital, can anyone just call you and talk about their healthy eating? Do you have a phone number? I don't know if you want to give your personal phone out, but you can if you want to, or come and see you at Coosa Valley Medical Center.
You sure can. I'm there Monday through Friday. I have a lot of folks that just call and will ask questions, and I'm always, if I'm in my office and not up on the floor seeing patients, I'm always there.
What do? They just call the hospital and ask for your number?
They usually just ask to get connected to me or patched through, and if I'm in my office, then I can pick up the phone. But there's a way to reach me if someone has a really pressing need or what have you. You can always find me there.
Okay. For somebody that's just walking in the hospital and wants to talk to you, where should they go?
They can probably go to the information desk at the front of the hospital and be directed to my office. And if I'm there, I'll be happy to chat with them and do what I can do to answer their questions.
Well, Kathleen, we're out of time. Thank you so much for coming in.
My pleasure.
Really important information you gave us this morning.
Well,
And say hi to everybody at Coosa Valley Medical Center, and thank you so much for coming in. So that's a wrap for me today on Randy's Corner. If you'll stay tuned, next month we're going to talk about some real estate. So y'all stay tuned in next Tuesday, and more Daybreak to come. See you next time.